Swing, and there's a drive to deep right center. Stanley going after it and dives and makes a great catch. A fabulous catch by Stanley. Aparicio going back to first base. He's doubled off.
Tigers are trailing by 1 run, 4-3 behind Baltimore. Here's Magic now waiting on the full count delivery by Drabowski. Swung on, there's a fly ball to right. It's deep, it might be. Back is Robinson, and it is a home run. The Tigers win it on a 2-run homer by Magic. Oh, the Tigers are out at home plate to meet him. Here he comes, and the Tigers win the ball game.
Now the 1-0 pitch, long fly to left field. Could be trouble for Boston. It's gone. Home run. Bill Freehan is 19th home run of the year. Coming here in the top of the 11th inning, the Tigers take a 10-9 lead. The next pitch to Price is hit to deep left field. Might be, could be, it's gone. Jim Price clears the fence downstairs in left center field. His second home run of the year. The Tigers win the ball game.
When Gator Brown came striding out of the dugout, the citizens of Detroit arose to show the league's leading pinch hitter how much they appreciated his record-breaking contribution. Groans echoed through the stands as Gates walked.
3 men on, 2 men out. Game tied 1-1 in the 9th inning. And the windup and the pitch. He swings a line shot, base hit, right field. The Tigers win it. Here comes K-Line to score, and it's all over. Donward singles. The Tigers mob Don. K-Line has scored. The fans are streaming on the field, and the Tigers have won their first pennant since 1940.
2 out, nobody on, no score, 7th inning, Tigers at bat. 7th game of the World Series. Now the windup and the pitch. Swing, there's a looping drive to right. It'll drop in for a single by Cash. Here's Willie Horton. Ground ball, left side, through, base hit by Horton. Cash checks in and holds it second. Now the set by Gibson, we're ready. There's a swing and a fly ball to center. Here comes Flood, digging hard. He almost fell down. It's over his head for a hit. Cash is rounding third. He scores. Willie Horton rounding third. He scores. Northrup goes into third base. Detroit leads 2-0. Well, there's the one that breaks it open, Pee-wee.
Yeah, it looked like Kurt Flood. He charged in on that ball. Then he saw that the ball was hit harder than he thought it was. He tried to break back. He slipped on it and then could not catch up to the ball.
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
I can't believe it. I knew we were going to win. Filled with money, crying money, but I don't have to use it anymore. They really socked it to him, and they knew what they were doing when they pitched Lolich against Gibson.
Couldn't be better, Al. Everything's better.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to us.
One of the great stories you tell, I'm going to hand this to you as a prop.
I'm going to eat it too.
You're going to eat it too. This is yours. This is, you must tell me the hot dog story.
Well, that's one I can't live down. You know, this particular game, me and Norm Cash wasn't playing this day, and me and him was sitting on the end of the bench, sent the bad boy up to get us a couple of hot dogs and watching the game. Now, I know Mayo never called on me till the 7th, 8th, or 9th. And this is about the 5th or 6th inning.
What year was this? Do you remember?
68.
68 was?
1968. It's a good year.
Good year.
But anyway, all of a sudden he stopped the game. He said, Gates, get your bat and go hit for Euler or whoever. And he kept kind of staring my way, so I turned my back on him. I had 2 hot dogs, and I stuck them in my shirt. Buttoned my shirt up. Got a couple of bats and loosened up. Out of all the time, I didn't care if I'd strike out or pop up or something. I hit one up the slot, right center, and I had to go in the second head first. And you can imagine that white uniform. I had ketchup and mustard and all over me, you know. And the bench, they roared with laughter, you know. They thought it was funny, but Mayo didn't. Matter of fact, he fined me $100, you know. I said, Mayo, I just drove in the run, you know. He says, well, Gates, the only reason I'm not charging you more is you're not making nothing now, so to add insult to injury, you know. But that was the kind of, you know, that was a good year, you know. Yeah. Can't live that one down.
No, well, you tell it so well, and it's a good part of Americana. So I mentioned Gates. I'm from Jamestown. I'm Amy's father. Happy Father's Day, by the way.
And same to you, sir. Same to you.
And Jamestown, of course, was a source for a lot of Detroit players came through there.
Yeah, they used to have a league in Jamestown. That's one of the leagues that I missed, you know. I think that was the New York Penn League at the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
I missed that league. I started in 1960 at Duluth, Minnesota, the Northern League. In 61, I went to Durham, North Carolina, of the Carolina League, which was B-ball then. 62, I jumped all the way from B-ball to AAA, Denver. Played a year out there, and in 63, we moved to Syracuse.
Oh, sure.
And played about a half a year at Syracuse, and I got called up to the big leagues in 1963.
Did you know you were going to be a baseball player growing up in the area?
Well, you know, in school, football was my best sport. I always dreamed of being a football player, but I played baseball and basketball. Our school had football, baseball, basketball. I always dreamed of being a football player. That was my goal, but I was a decent baseball player also, and when I got the opportunity, or when the opportunity got me, I had a lot of people pulling for me to play baseball, so that's where I ended up at.
You have quite a story on how you signed with the Tigers.
Yes, I do. In 1958, I got sent away to, the penitentiary for robbery, armed robbery, and I played in 58 and 59 in the institution. And at the beginning of 59, the athletic director came to me and said, hey, Gates, you look like you're a pretty decent ball player. He says, I know a couple of scouts, and here's what I'll try to do for you. I'll try to bring them in and look at you. Now, we played once a week in there, you know, and I said to myself, yeah, right, there's been thousands of inmates, why me, you know. But true to his word, he did. He brought in Pat Mullen, who was a scout for the Detroit at the time, and Hoot Evers, who was a scout for the Cleveland Indians. Now, I live about 60 miles from Cleveland, and we played once a week, every Saturday. And at the end of the season, you know, they came to me, and I had a choice to make between Cleveland or Detroit. Well, the athletic director in there, me and him did a little schooling. He brought me the measurements of Tiger Stadium and the measurements of Municipal Stadium, which was Cleveland. Detroit was a good ballpark for a left-handed hitter. And not only did I choose Detroit for that reason, but they didn't have any black ball players in 1959. So I figured if my opportunity was, if I was as good as I thought I was, my opportunity would be better with Detroit. And that's one of the main reasons why I did sign with Detroit. My folks, like I said, I was 60 miles from Cleveland. They wanted me to sign with the Indians, but I chose Detroit. And I started off in 1960, as I said, and by 1963, I was in the big leagues. Growing
up, football being your best sport, who was your Cleveland Browns hero?
Jimmy Brown. He was my main man. I liked the Cleveland Browns, you know, Marion Motley, Cleveland Brown, Ray Renfro, Otto Graham. Oh, man, they had a good team.
That's right.
Every Sunday, I couldn't wait to get by the radio and listen to the Cleveland Browns.
And Carling's Black Label.
Yep, old Carling. Yep, that's a good sponsor. Yep. But those were good times in the 50s, and I was a very fortunate young man. I had a lot of people pulling for me, and like I said, we played once a week in there. They gave me a special hearing with the parole board, and the warden had to get involved, and I got an early release, and as they say, the rest is history.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you felt it was like a second chance. And
Well, yeah,
sports provided that.
I was 17 when I went in there, and I'm sitting in that 4x6 cell, and I'm saying to myself, Gates, your whole life is just wasted now,
Right.
But through the grace of God, I had some people looking out for me, and it's like I told my mom and dad, if I didn't make it, it wouldn't be because I didn't try,
Sure.
only because I wasn't good enough. And I never thought about failing. That never entered my mind, losing or not making it. It was just a matter of how long it was going to take me to get there.
So you walk into Tiger Stadium at your first day with wearing a Tigers uniform. What was your feelings?
I tell you, it was unbelievable. When you're in the minors, yeah, you think about getting to the big leagues, but your concentration is down there. And I can remember just as good was in Buffalo, where I was with Syracuse, played a doubleheader at Buffalo. I just got through hitting 4 home runs, 2 in each game. And our manager, Bob Swift, came to me after the game and says, Gates is supposed to meet the team in Boston. Boston? I said, well, my goodness. Well, the year before now, in 1962, I was hitting 340 at Denver, and K-Line broke his collarbone diving for a ball in New York, and I figured since I was the best at the outfield at that time in Denver, I'd get called up. But they called up another guy named Pernell Goldie, which was kind of a disappointment to me. But as it turned out, it was a good move because I really wasn't quite ready. Now in '63, like I said, I was with Syracuse, and I was hitting 258. That's what I was hitting, 258. But I was second in the league in home run behind Richie Allen and RBIs. I had 13 home runs and 43 RBIs in 50 ball games. So I was just coming around. My power was just beginning to come to me, and my confidence was sky high. Although, it was a surprise when he said I was going to meet him in Boston. But true enough, I caught the plane, went to Boston. First game in a Tiger uniform, I pitched hit a home run, and rest was history.
Yeah. In 63, 64, the Tigers were just starting to sort of come into their own there. And what additions or what do you think made the difference?
Well, in 61, they had a run at it. That's when they come in behind the Yankees. In September, they went in the Yankee Stadium for a 4-game series, 1 game behind. And the Yankees swept them, and they blew
Every other ball player that was running for a title, I kept checking the times at bat, and the closest guy to me was Elston Howard. And he was hitting 354, and I was up to about 375 in August. And I figured out that if he made 5 appearances per game the rest of the year, he couldn't qualify. You had to go to bat so many times to qualify, so I knew that he couldn't catch me. And then the next guy was, I believe, Al Kaline. He's hitting about 325, which was a great year for him, but it'd be hard for anybody to catch, to drop 50 points in the last couple. So I actually had the batting title won as early as 1st of August.
Those cheers out in left field are for Rocky Colavito, whose big bat, strong arm, and famous limbering exercises have made him a favorite of Tiger fans. With these and other Tiger stars like the fleet Billy Bruton.
We were a very good team. We had a very good year in 1961.
Well, it was a great year to go through because it was the first time I'd ever been on any kind of a team that was in competition going into September. And we had a good ball club at the time, a team that scored a lot of runs with Colavito and Cash having a super year.
We had a terrible road trip late in September. We went out east and everybody we played beat us. And we went from practically a tie. We went down 8 games behind in a period of maybe a week or 10.
Now, 62, they had Colavito, Kaline, Billy Bruton, George Thomas, Whitey Herzog in the outfield. When I got called up in 63, but they were shooting bad. They wasn't they wasn't getting off to a good start. Now, the day that I got called up in 1963, the Tigers fired Bob Sheffing and hired a guy named Chuck Dresser. Now, that night I talked to Bob Sheffing. When I got called, I talked to him in his room. I wake up the next day and Jake Wood, my roommate, says, Gates, we got a new manager, Charlie Dresden. I said, Jake, you're joking. I just talked to Sheffin last night. He said, well, he got fired. Well, anyway, they hired Charlie Dresden. Now, he started bringing in us young guys, rebuilding the team. Brought up me and Willie Horton, Don Wood, Bill Freehand, Denny McLean, Joe Sparma, Pat Dobson, John Hiller. And he started getting rid of the old ball players, like Colavito and Jim Bunning, Paul Foytak. Had another, we called him Bulldog. What was his name? Frank Larry, Hanky Gary. He started sweeping them out, Now, he started bringing us along 63, and by 68, we had matured enough. But he wasn't around. He had a heart attack and died in the meantime. Yeah. And by 68, we had matured enough that we brought Detroit a pennant and a World Series.
Tigers always seemed to have a tough time, even though guys like Frank Larry were known as Yankee killers. And there was always an anti-Yankee sentiment, probably not just here in Detroit, but really anyway. And I know when I had a chance to sign with any number of clubs, the Yankees made me an offer. And there was no way, shape, or form that I was ever going to sign with the Yankees.
Yankees are the team to beat. They've had such tremendous success on the field, and it's still the big city, and when the Yankees come to town, it's an event. Everybody wants to beat them, and they're good. They're a good organization. So that's what makes competition, and that's what makes baseball a great game.
A new and winning combination of youth, speed, power, and hustle has made the Tigers solid, respected, exciting contenders in the American League pennant picture.
While the Red Sox sit in their dressing room and listen to the play-by-play broadcast in Tiger Stadium, Detroit, they won't know if they've won a pennant or not until the Tigers complete another doubleheader with the California Angels. This is the second doubleheader in 2 days for the Tigers. It's always hard to win, too, but the Tigers know they must do it. Sparma goes out. Detroit wins that game, but it doesn't end the tension. The Tigers drop the second game and heartbreakingly lose the pennant.
A pretty tough mental shock for all of us to go through to lose on the very last day.
When we came into that locker room after losing that ball game, we just stayed there for a long time. And when we went to spring training the next year, that feeling of being so close and yet so far, I think meant something to all of us. And we knew we were as good a baseball team in 1968 as anybody else in the major leagues.
But I think it finally made all of us players realize that we were a good team and probably should have won in '67. It didn't happen that way, but we were all anxious to get started in '68. And of course, all Tiger fans remember the great '68 season when the Tigers got out in front, stayed there, won the American League Championship, and then went on to become world champions.
Go get 'em, Tiger. Wow.
Swing, and there's a drive to deep right center. Stanley going after it and dives and makes a great catch. A fabulous catch by Stanley. Aparicio going back to first base. He's doubled off.
Tigers are trailing by 1 run, 4-3 behind Baltimore. Here's Magic now waiting on the full count delivery by Drabowski. Swung on this, a fly ball to right. It's deep, it might be. Back is Robinson, and it is a home run. A 2-run homer by Magic. Oh, the Tigers are out at home plate to meet him. Here he comes, and the Tigers win the ball game.
Now the 1-0 pitch, long drive to left field. Could be trouble for Boston. It's gone. Home run. Bill Freehand, his 19th home run of the year. Coming here in the top of the 11th inning, the Tigers take a 10-9 lead. The next pitch to Price is hit to deep left field. Might be, could be, it's gone. Jim Price clears the fence downstairs in left center field. His second home run of the year. The Tigers win the ball game 3-2.
The man who scored is up there now waiting on a 3-2 pitch from John. Watch out. That one just about hit him. I think Mac's a little perturbed. He's yelling out to Tommy John. Now he goes at him, and
John tackles McAuliffe. Here comes Pete Ward in, Mickey Stanley. Salerno's there in the middle, and both dugouts empty, and the teams are going at it. Gates Brown is out there, and now the umpires are trying to separate the combatants here, and I think the situation has been stilled. John, I believe, has hurt his arm.
That is caught. It may be a triple play. They did it. A triple play.
When Gator Brown came striding out of the dugout, the citizens of Detroit arose to show the league's leading pinch hitter how much they appreciated his record-breaking contribution. Groans echoed through the stands as Gates walked.
3 men on, 2 men out. Game tied 1-1 in the 9th inning. And the windup and the pitch. He swings a line shot, base hit, right field. The Tigers win it. Here comes Kaline to score, and it's all over. Donward singles. The Tigers mob Don. Kaline has scored. The fans are streaming on the field, and the Tigers have won their first pennant since 1945.
And we're in the Tiger clubhouse right now. There was another Tiger victory dig just like all year long, coming from behind, rallying.
I think that was the greatest thing in the world, winning a game like that. We've been doing it all year long.
Yes, sir, we've had a lot of them up here tonight, and nearly every one of them said they wanted to win it for you and Jim Campbell. That's quite a compliment.
Well, I tell you, as far as I'm concerned, they're all my boys.
Well, for you as it is for the guy. I knew this was going to...
Incredible series it was.
It was. I mean, that was the type of year that if you kept up with the Tigers that year, we came from behind a whole lot of games. We'd be losing 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. You know, you pick up the paper the next day, we'd won, come from behind, things of this nature. The World Series, it was no different. You know, we played the St. Louis Cardinals, Big Bob Gibson. The first game, he struck out 17. He set a record. They beat us 4-1, I believe it was, 3-1 or whatever. And we were down 3 games to 1. You know, and people would start writing us off, you know. Well, you got Big Bob Gibson. Well, what they didn't know is we had a guy named Mickey Lowley and a guy named Denny McClain who won 31 ball games that year. But anyway, we won we came back, we won 3-2. And then he didn't know who he was going to start that 6th game. Because they had beat on Earl Wilson and Joe Sparmer. And Denny McClain walked into his office and says, Skip, ain't nobody starting this game but me. Give me the ball. Right. Now, they had beat him twice already. Right. But that's the kind of guy Denny was. He had the heart of a giant, you know. He believed in Denny. And anyway, he won that 6th game for Lowley to come back in the 7th game. And Lowley won three games, 3-0, and we won 4 games of 3. And that was a talk of the city.
Team spirit and a feeling that whenever they were in the game, even if they were behind, they could come back and win it.
You are the sunshine of my life. Yeah. That's why I'll always stay around. Yeah, yeah. You are the apple of my eye. Forever you stay in my heart. I feel like this is the beginning.
But silver wings on my son's chest make him one of America's best. He'll be a man they'll test one day. Have him win the Green Beret.
Gentle people with flowers in their hair, all across the nation, such a strange vibration, people in motion. Oh, I heard through the grapevine someone else, but not for me. Love was out to get me. Love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
We had a guy on base, Lou Brock, that had been causing me all sorts of problems, stealing bases, and our ball club all sorts of problems trying to keep him off the bases. And a line drive was hit to Willie, and at that point in time, we were really struggling. The throw was outstanding. I was very surprised that Lou didn't slide.
We all did things as a team. I made the throw, but it was a combination of pre-hand, down work, Willie Horton, and the support of Mickey Stelling.
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come on. Just a little bit, hey, baby, just a little bit. Just a little bit, mister, just a little bit. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take F-T-C-T. Sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me, dinner and say. Sock it to me, sock it to me. Maybe you wanna give me kisses sweet, but only for one night with no repeat. And maybe you'll go away and never call. And a taste of honey's worse than none at all. Oh, little girl, in that case, I don't want no part. I do believe that that would only break my heart. Oh, but if you feel like loving me, if you got the notion, I say.
Two out, nobody on, no score, seventh inning, Tigers at bat. Seventh game of the World Series. Now the windup and the pitch. Swing, there's a looping drive to right. It'll drop in for a single by Cash. Here's Willie Horton. Ground ball, left side, through, base hit by Horton. Cash checks in and holds it second. Now the set by Gibson, we're ready. There's a swing and a fly ball to center. Here comes Flood, digging hard. He almost fell down. Hits over his head for a hit. Cash is rounding third. He scores. Willie Horton rounding third. He scores. Northrop goes into third base. Detroit leads 2-0. Well, there's the one that breaks it open, Pee-wee.
Yeah, it looked like Curt Flood. He charged in on that ball. Then he saw it, tried to break back. He slipped on it and then could not catch up to the ball.
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
I can't believe it. I knew we were going to win. Filled with money, crying money, but I don't have to use it anymore. They really socked it to him, and they knew what they were doing when they pitched Lolich against Gibson.
Couldn't be better, Al. Everything's better.
It's the greatest thing that ever happened to us.
Everybody was fearful of what would happen in the city when the streets started heating up again. But a strange thing happened in '68. The ball team, the Tigers, came back to Detroit, and suddenly you'd stop at a corner at Woodward and Claremont, and you'd have the window down, and the Tigers would be in Boston, and Willie Horton would be up, and he'd crash one against the left field fence in Fenway Park, and you'd turn around and look at the guy in the next car, and he was cheering, and you felt a surge of excitement, and he waved to you, and you waved to him.
Plus, it was good because in 1967 we had a riot.
Right.
And instead of people talking about hurting each other, you know, lighting fires or whatever, the talk of that year was about the Tigers. You hear what the Tigers did last night? They came back and win. I can't believe it, you know. That's the kind of atmosphere there was. And I'd like to think that we had a little bit of something to do with, you know, the change of the city. And I was just fortunate to be a part of it.
Well, a lot of those late inning charges during the season were because of a pinch hitter named Gates Brown.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough way to make a living, I tell you. But I had my finest year that year. As a matter of fact, a lot of us did. Horton hit 36 home runs, the most he ever hit. Denny, he won 31 ball games, first time in about 35 years. McLean, Jim Northup hit a lot of grand slams.
2 in 1 game in Cleveland, and it was on my son's birthday, which was even more fun for me. And I was in a horrendous slump. I wasn't even supposed to play that day, so it brought me out of the slump and really made things take off. But, you know, I struck out the first time in that game on a pitch I should have hit with the bases loaded. I could have hit 3 in that game. And, you know, you always say, if I'd have done this and that. And then when I hit the third one 3 days later, I came up the next 2 innings later with the bases loaded again. And nobody out. There was no reason for me not to hit the ball, but I swung it. I would say I was a little over anxious. I swung it 2 in the dirt and then took one right down the middle. So I had a chance there to hit an awful lot of grand slams, and I hit 4 in that season and 1 in a World.
And we had a lot of us had our finest year. And the funny thing about that is, right before spring training left, we was getting ready to come north. The general manager, Jim Campbell, came to me and said, "Gates, you just made the ball club." Well, in '67, I broke my wrist.
Right.
And I was out for over 3 months. And they brought up a guy named Lenny Green, a spare outfielder. And he did a good job for us. But in '68, you know, we was just getting ready to leave, and he'd tell me I just made the ball club, which kind of made me sort of angry, you know? I mean, I had nothing against Lenny, but he was 36, I was 26.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I could run at that time. I was the fastest guy on the team. I had power, you know. But anyway, they had 2 left-handed hitters named Tom Mancic and Eddie Matthews that he used for pinch hitter, you know, spot player. And I was the last one. They had tried to trade me, so they say, you know, and couldn't make a deal. But anyway, I played that year with a vengeance, you know. I mean, we lost opening day in 1968. The second game, they beat Earl Wilson on opening day. The second game, I pitched hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th to win it for us, and we took off one like 9 or 10 in a row or something like, and we took off from there. But you know, I won a few ball games. It was
sure did.
It was tough. It's tough, you know. I mean, it's like a relief pitcher coming in with the bases loaded. No outs, and they expect you to get out of it, you know. And pinch hitting the same way. You sit there 7, 8 innings, and all of a sudden especially early in the season when it's cold and damp and you can't really get loose, you know. And they expect dividends, and I was just fortunate enough that I had my finest year.
Well, and then that coupled with the fact that, I mean, Mickey and Denny. Tell me just quickly, what was the feeling like when Denny got his 30th win?
Well, I can remember
behind, as I recall.
Yeah, it was. It was late in the game, 8th or 9th inning. We were playing Kansas City, I believe it was, Oakland or Kansas City, and it was a matter of fact, the inning that he won, we won the ball game. I pinched hit and grounded out to second, and Willie Horton came up. Willie Horton, I believe, got the win that gave him his 30th victory, you know. Otherwise, he was out of the game. He wouldn't have won at that game. Right. And they had Dizzy Dean and a lot of dignitaries there, and Horton got that big single to left, and
McClain, Denny McClain, there's never been any like Denny McClain.
September 14th, a bright, sunny Saturday afternoon. Denny McLain attempting to become the first 30-game winner in more than 30 years. It turned out to be the game of the century, as the nation forgot its worries long enough to watch Denny challenge the record of the great Dizzy Dean.
You don't expect him to keep doing it like this all year. I thought I was in a little bit of trouble, but they pulled me out again.
The pitch swung on, a ground ball. Peter, he goes to the plate. Back throw! The Tigers scores! Stanley heads for third base. The Tigers have tied this ball game. Outfield is shallow. The pitch. Fastball, base hit. Tigers are going to win this one. Stanley scores the winning run, and McLain wins his 30th ball game of the year as Willie Horton comes up with a big base hit. On the bottom of the ninth, the Tigers scored two, and look at this celebration on the field.
It's the greatest bunch of ball players I've ever played with, and I've been saying that for 5 years.
Denny was something special. He believed in Denny. He had a good fastball, good control, and a big heart.
Yeah.
And he didn't believe nobody was better than him. I never seen a man with such a good attitude. I mean, even when they hit him, you know, he was the type of guy that he might give up 2 or 3 home runs a game, but there were solos. You know, you might give up 1, but it's a grand slam and you lose, you know.
Yeah.
But he was fortunate enough. And then a lot of people say, well, Gates, you guys got a lot of runs for him, which we did. But you got to remember, his ERA that year was under 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't giving up many runs, you know. And we knew when he pitched, you know, number one, Denny worked a fastball game. He got it and he threw it, you know. You had to be ready. And he wasn't going to give up many runs, you know. And he's going to keep you in ball game. You enjoyed playing behind him. Because number one, you're going to be out of the ballpark a couple hours, 2.5 hours, 2:15. And he got it and he threw it. You know, sometimes I'd be playing and I'd be looking around, he threw a pitch. That's how fast he worked. But you enjoyed playing behind him.
Kaline was out most of the year.
Yes, he was. That's a lot of people don't realize that. He was out for about 5 or 6 weeks. He struck out or made an out in the game and came back and smacked the dugout and broke his finger or hand or something. And he was out for about 5 or 6 weeks. Now, our outfield was Horton, Northup, and Stanley. Then when Kaline came back, you know, and especially for the World Series, you had to have him in there. You're not going to play a World Series without Big Al Kaline, you know. So that's when Mayo made that big move. He took Ray Orr.
Surprised you guys?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But, you know, we knew that Al was going to play. We didn't know how he was going to do it. And, you know, when you had Horton, Northup, and Stanley, they played the majority of the year, you know. If you'd have taken one of them out, they would have been angry, you know, and whoever he'd have taken out the lineup was going to be angry because here's the biggest series of your career, you know, like they took Ray Orr out, put Stanley at short, and Ray was, poor thing, he was sitting next to me during the game and he was sort of complaining. He was hurt, you know, which rightfully so, because he was our regular everyday shortstop. And like I say, the biggest series of his career, and all of a sudden, you know, he's on the bench. But it was a gutsy move, and it was a good move. You know, Kaline won that 5th ball game for us, and he hit 380 for the series, you know, but good move. Good move. Took a lot of guts, but that was the type of year we had. It paid off.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I didn't believe Mayo Smith, and I was very nervous. But he brought me into the hotel room in Baltimore. He says, "You are going to be our shortstop in the World Series," and he says, "You might as well make up your mind."
We go back to that first World Series game when Gibson's out there striking out everybody in sight. Did you marvel at the whole thing? Or was it
well, you know, we had faced him in spring training, but spring training is nothing like the season, you know. As a matter of fact, the scouting report on him was, don't worry about his breaking ball. We knew he had a fastball, you know, good control. But they say, don't worry about his fastball, and let me tell you, his fastball was sinking and sliding, and his breaking ball with that slider was just cracking like a whip, you know. Well, he struck out 17, so you can tell by the way he was pitching by that. And he had good control. He, of course, if he had to hit you, he would hit you. He didn't mind coming inside hard. You know, some pitchers are timid when they come in there. He come in hard with a purpose. And if he hits you, so be it, you know. Yeah. Come on, get back in there. That's the type of pitcher he was. But you couldn't ask for a better matchup in the 7th game. Oh, no. McLean and Gibson, you know. I mean, not McLean, Lolich and Gibson.
Well, and it was nothing for
7 innings.
Yeah, holy cow.
And then, see, when you get two good teams working together, it depends on who makes the least mistake. And we had 2 men on, and Northup, he hit that ball good, but it was kind of slicing towards left center, and Kurt Flood took a step in, and it started taking off on him, and he couldn't get back. And it went for a 2-run triple. Yeah. And we knew that was about the 7th inning. And we knew then the way Lowley was pitching, that it was over. You know, and as a matter of fact, Lowley hit a home run that game, and we won 4-1. But it was so quiet in St. Louis, you know, 60,000 people, it was quiet, you know, and they were matching 0 for 0.
Two out, nobody on, no score, 7th inning, Tigers at bat. 7th game of the World Series. Now the windup and the pitch. Swing, there's a looping drive to right. It'll drop in for a single by Cash. Here's Willie Horton. Ground ball, left side, through, base hit by Horton. Cash checks in and holds it second. Now the set by Gibson, we're ready. There's a swing and a fly ball to center. Here comes Flood, digging hard. He almost fell down. Hits over his head for a hit. Cash is rounding third. He scores. Willie Horton rounding third. He scores. Northup goes into third base. Detroit leads 2-0. Well, there's the one that breaks it open, Pee-wee.
Yeah, it looked like Kurt Flood. He charged in on that ball. Then he saw that the ball was hit harder than he thought it was. He tried to break back. He slipped on it and then could not catch up to the ball.
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
I can't believe it. I knew we were going to win. Filled with money, crying money, but I don't have to use it anymore. They really socked it to him, and they knew what they were doing when they pitched Lolich against Gibson.
Couldn't be better, Al. Everything's better.
It's the greatest thing that ever happened to us.
Gathering together soon here.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. They having our 40th anniversary, and matter of fact, the Cardinals are in town, so they're going to have a little celebration, and looking forward to it. You know, not only some of your teammates, which you hadn't seen in many a year, but the Cardinals too. You know, I mean, it's a good reunion. It don't seem like it's been 40 years, but it has been.
Do you keep track of some of the guys?
Yeah, we have a little alumni, and we get together every now and then, tell each other how good we are. You know, the longer you've been out, the better you become. You know, so yeah, we get together and have a good time.
Denny's had quite a personal career afterwards, and has he surfaced?
Well, last I heard, he was in trouble again. I know. Denny loved living on the edge. You know, I mean, as great as he was, he loved living on the edge. I couldn't understand him. You know, I'd look at him and sometimes I'd say, damn, Denny, how can you do what you're doing, you know? And he said, Gates, it ain't nothing but a game, you know, that's what he would say. And he just loved living on the edge. But I'll tell you one thing, there was no greater pitcher. If we had to win a ball game, when he's right, I'd take him. He had good control and primarily a fastball, but he had good control. And when a pitcher can throw the ball up and get you out, you know, most pitchers is a no-no throwing up in the strike zone. But his ball rolled on you. And I used to ask Carl Yastrzemski and them, I said, Carl, is he that tough to hit? He says, Gates, he's mean. You know, his ball just keep taking off on you. And he got good control. Wherever he released it, it stayed there. It didn't, you know, some pitchers throw a fastball for the outer part of the plate and it might run back over. It stayed right where he released it. And big heart. I mean, you could hit one 900 feet. The only thing he would say, give me the ball. Give me the ball. Here I come on.
Yeah.
And that's the type of pitcher he was.
Who was the toughest guy for you?
Nolan Ryan, without a doubt. I mean, he wasn't no real big man, maybe 6 feet, 190, or maybe somewhere around there, but I don't know where he got that arm strength at. I mean, that ball got up there in a hurry. And he had a good curveball. I mean, I've seen hitters swing at his curveball and break their bat on home plate. And his control wasn't the best. I was a left-handed hitter, and he sort of intimidated me. I don't know how those right-handers stayed in there on him, but he's the only man I know that every time he went out there, he was capable of pitching a no-hitter.
Right.
That's how good he was. Yep.
Your highlight, the Gates Brown highlight.
Well, I'd have to say, well, the first time up, pinch hitting a home run, yeah. But we had a series in '68. We were playing Boston. They came into town. It was right behind us. We had a 4-game series, and we won. We lost Friday, won Saturday, and we had a doubleheader that Sunday. And we were behind, but by the 9th inning, we tied the first game up, and I pinched hit a home run in the bottom of the 14th to win it. And in the second game, I got a single in the bottom of the 9th to win it. So that, you know, and after that, we sort of knocked them out, you know. But up until then, it was nip and tuck, you know. But that'd have to be my highlight. It was, you know, you feel good when you can come through and help your team win a ball game, you know. And especially when it means something. It, like I say, it's a tough way to make a living, but when you come through, every day is Christmas, you know. I mean, it's a beautiful feeling.
You've been obviously, you know, a legend here in Detroit. When people come up and they get your autographs and they meet you, and obviously Gates Brown means something to folks, certainly the older fans, what do they say to you?
Well, believe it or not, 1 million people was at that ball game, that doubleheader I just was talking about. But they, you know, they tell me certain things about me that I had forgot or, you know, disremembered. But, you know, they just like to congratulate me on, you know, my career and the way I won ball games. And, you know, the fans, they know how tough the game is. I mean, it's not only being a reliever or a spot player or utility player, every day you got to go out there, you know. Maybe you got a little finger sprain and don't sound like much, but you got to grip a bat and you're twisting and just little things, you know. But you go out there every day. It's not like football, play once a week, basketball a couple times a week. Baseball, you're out there day by day. You get an off day every now and then. And if you're in one of those slumps where you're 0 for 20 or 30, you got to keep grinding, you know. You know what you're doing wrong, but you just can't snap your fingers and say, you know, I'll fix it. You got to keep playing it. Eventually, you'll come out of it. But like they say, it's a round ball and a round bat, but you got to hit it square to get the best results. And, you know, the ball is coming at you 85 to 95 miles an hour, and it's dipping and it's sinking and it's curving. And then every now and then they'll throw a ball here at your head just to keep you honest. You know, and you're laying on the ground, you're saying to yourself, I got to get back up there and hit, you know. I mean, you hear that ball go up under your throat or your neck, and it's a lot rougher than people think it is. I'll put it like that.
Today on Fan TV, there was a segment by Ernie Harwell on the brushback pitch. And Ernie Harwell quoted you a lot this morning on Gates Brown and the brushback pitch and how people used it and how you had to react to it.
Well, yeah, you know, it's not fun. I mean, you can hear that ball go up under your neck and whoosh, you know, and let's say, like, give you a little story, like, in the 60s, you know, there was still a lot of segregation, especially in the minor league. Now, you got guys from Mississippi and Georgia never played against a black ball player. Mm-hmm. And some of those pitchers, you know, I mean, you know, they try to make their mark. And you try to watch the pitcher's eyes, or at least I did, and sometimes you see them looking back here.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, now I wonder did they move the plate and didn't tell me? You know, because I know where the plate's supposed to be and I know where they're looking. Yeah. But that was their way of intimidating you, and I'll say it now, but I had my own special way. If I thought maybe one of them was throwing at me, I'd just drop a bunt down and make him field it. And I'd run up his back. Yeah. See, they'd think twice. Or I had a little story, I'd tell the catcher. Ball would come close to him, I'd tell the catcher, I'd say, now, you know they got me out of prison. And I swore to myself the next time if I ever go back, it's going to be for killing somebody. Now, the next ball to come close to me, I'm going to take this bat and try to hurt you. Well, the first thing the catcher would do was time. And he'd go out to the pitcher. You know, I could hear, you know, see their mouth, you know. Yeah. I didn't have any more problem. But it ain't no fun, man. And some of them would try to hurt you. Right. You know, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened to, we had a player named Tony Conigliaro. Sure. And I know the pitcher that hit him, and he used to play for us, and he was a headhunter. You know, because Martin used to put him in to hit people. You know, that's one thing me and Billy Martin fell out about. We got in a fight one time, and I didn't go out there, and he called me on it. I said, Billy, let me tell you one thing. When I hear you tell a pitcher go in and hit somebody, I'm not fighting. Because it could be me you're telling them to hit. You know, but Billy was like that. He kept the pitchers on the team that, and you know, you get a guy that's trying to stay, he not only would hit you, he might try to hurt you. Right. Right. And that ain't no fun. I mean, I've seen a couple guys get hit in the head, and the season was never the same. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what contributed to Conigliaro's death. You know, he got hit in the head, and it's not a good feeling.
In fact, when you talk about Tony Conigliaro, there's just another thing on TV today where he had more home runs by the age 20 than anybody in the history of baseball.
Yeah. I think his first year he led the league in home runs or something like that. Yeah. He was up and becoming ball. He was a good ball player. You know, but like I say, there's some pitchers that, you know, you just got to watch them and check them, you know. It's a rough game.
Now, your career ended here in 1975. 75. And then, was that tough, that year when you finally said,
No.
I'm done?
A lot of people ask me that. Was it tough quitting? No. And I'll tell you why. I didn't play that much. Now, maybe if I was an everyday ball player getting up 500-600 times a year, it probably would have been. But if you played like I did, every now and then, and you start a game when Kaline or Horton or Stanley or Northrup is hurt or sick, every now and then, I didn't miss it. You missed the players. You know, I can't say that I missed it because, like I said, I didn't play that much. I didn't play as much as I would have liked to. And I tell people I had more fun in the minors than I did in the big league. They said, oh, no. I said, yeah, because I knew I was going to play down there.
Sure.
See, it ain't no fun. I mean, you're in the big league, but it ain't fun watching other people play. I mean, you want to be between the white line. That's where the action is. That's where the glory is. That's where you want to be, you know. And Other than that, what is it all about?
Did you, when you came up, you mentioned it briefly that when you signed with the Tigers, you knew that there were no or very few black ball players. Was Jake Wood, was he with the Tigers?
Jake Wood, they had Jake Wood. They just traded for Billy Butin. Had a guy named Bubba Morton, Chico Fernandez. They had, in 1960, when they ran for the pennant, they might have had 3 or 4.
Was Ike Brown?
Well, now he came up after I did.
Okay.
See, from about 4 or 5 years, we only had me, Willie Horton, and Earl Wilson.
Sure.
Right? Earl Wilson was a pitcher. I sat on the bench, and Horton was our everyday player. So really, we only had one for 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Then Ike Brown came up in '69, and it was after that, you know. But they never had a lot of black ball players. I mean, matter of fact, we had the least. You know, our regular was Willie Horton, and no, they were slow in coming. As a matter of fact, Detroit and Boston were the 2 last clubs to get black ball players.
Right. And with the community, so since Detroit has always been a black community.
That's what I really couldn't understand. You know, Detroit is primarily black, you know, and still they only had one, you know, and but those were special times, and I take great pride in playing back then,
right.
If you know what I mean.
Sure.
You know, like Norm Cash used to say, we didn't make much money, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, the players nowadays, they make bukus of money, but I don't think they enjoy the game as much as they should, because number one, the fans expect too much out of them because they're making $10 million, $5 million a year, you know. They think they ain't supposed to make an out, or, you know, the game's the same.
Sure.
I don't care whether you make $1 or $1 million. The
Yeah.
game's the same. Tough.
Who's your hero growing up?
I was a Mantle fan, Willie Mays. I was for all the hitters. Willie Mays, he's my special. Mantle and Ted Williams. I'd have to say those 3, you know. I was always partial to hitters, you know. But there's one thing about it. When I was growing up, when you were a kid, you had to be yourself. See, and by this I'm saying, it's not like today the kids see you on television, they stand like Maglio Ordonez or, you know, Granderson, you know, you can see them and you try to emulate them. I didn't have no TV back then, you know, I was lucky to have a radio.
Yeah.
So you had to be yourself. You know, you stood the way you stood and whatever, you know, but nowadays you see so many young ball players copying whoever, you know, whoever they like, try to be like them. And one thing about the game, you got to be yourself. You can't, because what might work for you might not work for Joe Dokes.
Right.
You know, so it's always, you're learning little things about yourself when you play this game, how you handle it. Yeah, anybody can show the good attitude when they're going good. Show me a ball player when he's going bad. How he reacts. Do he hustle? Do he play the game the same? You know, and you can learn a lot about ball players just by the way they're playing. You know.
What's your sense of the current team?
Oh, we got a good team. The team we got today, you know, they've been struggling. They've been coming around lately, though. But I mean, the lineup that we got, too good for us to be where we're at right now. I mean, you know, when you got Polanco and Ordonez and Cabrera, Granderson, Vettorina, I mean, those guys can hit. Guillen, they're hitters. Inge, not no business struggling like they're struggling because you got too many great hitters. But lately they're beginning to gel, you know, and maybe it takes a while for them to get to know each other and things of this nature. But before it's over, we're going to get in contention. We're in it now.
Yeah.
It ain't over till it's over. But, you know, if you can stay close, you got a chance. That's all you can ask for.
That's right.
And I think from here on in, they're over their rough spot. You know, they've been through a lot. At one time, they were 10, 11 games out, you know, we've been cutting it down. You know, just take it day by day. Don't worry about nobody else, worry about yourself. You keep winning, and the world will turn, you know.
You try to get to most of the games here?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I do a little PR for them, and every home game I'm here, you know, it keeps me in touch, you know, and I enjoy it. You know, baseball's still the best game in the world because it's one-on-one. And everybody can see you. See, it's not like football. You get lost in the shuffle, or basketball, hockey. Baseball is one-on-one. You and the pitcher, and everybody can see you. Slow and deliberate, and if you make a mistake, you can make excuses if you want to, but the average fan knows when you do something good or when you do something bad. But it's a lonely feeling, man, when you're up there and you're in one of those slumps and it just don't seem like nothing falls.
Right.
You know, you're up at bat and you look out at the outfield and you see those holes, and you always say, man, all I got to do is nudge one. But then again, you got those jackrabbit outfielders, them holes start closing up on you, and they'll dive and make a good, you know, take a hit away from you. It's mine. You gotta have a strong mind, I'm telling you. If you can master your mind, you got a better than decent chance of succeeding. You know? I mean, it's the only game in the world where you can fail 7 out of 10. Fail. And everybody loves you. That makes you a 300 hitter. That puts you in the Hall of Fame. You know, if you're a quarterback completing 3 out of 10, you ain't gonna be there. Basketball player shooting 3 out of 10, you ain't gonna be on the court. But baseball is so tough, you can lose 7 out of 10 and still be great.
And you are great.
Well, I tried, you know. Had some good days, and, you know, people ask me, Gates, how do it feel? You know, when you do something good, and you got 50,000 people on their feet cheering for you that particular moment, don't get any better than that. It can't. I mean, your heart is beating, and I mean, and then again, when you do something bad and 50,000 people booing you, I mean, that can be a long walk from the home plate back to the dugout, you know. But the fans have been great to me. They were great to me in Detroit. I used to watch Norm Cash and a couple of the players where they would boo them, and I didn't have to go through that. They seemed like they were always with me, you know, and for me, and I felt real bad when I let them down, when I didn't get that hit, you know. But it was a good career. It was good. It was all right.
It was great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking time today on a Father's Day to talk
And I thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm delighted, and my daughter Amy thinks the world of you.
God bless you.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.